Hi, and welcome back to the Good Fucking Energy podcast. I'm so excited for today's topic because it is very divinely inspired and it's actually about inspiration too. So, we're talking about inspiration, we are talking about creativity, and we're talking about guidance and how all of these three go together, how to increase creativity in your life. And also, I just want to add in that creativity or creation, rather, is a word that can be exchanged for manifestation. So, manifestation is creation. We are always manifesting, we are always creating. Every new moment, you are creating something new. So, this current moment that you're living right now is a new creation, it's a new manifestation. We are always creating in every moment. So, we're going to talk about how we can actually infuse more of our inspired creation, more of our essence, our soul into what we are just automatically doing, which is always creating, always manifesting all the time, so that we can live more aligned and joy filled lives that are true expressions of who we are. So, before we get into that, I just want to say I'm happy to be back. My last episode was about basically the transformation I had gone through over like the last year, if not longer. And then I went on vacation for a little bit, and now I'm back, and I'm really wanting to be more consistent with podcasts, reposting onto YouTube, and I just feel good. I'm ready to take everything to the next level. And I really have service at the core of it all. Just knowing that these videos, that this podcast helps you guys is everything to me and genuinely what I do it all for. So we're back. We're going to be more consistent. And I feel like a brand new bitch. Like, truly, I feel like after all of the growth and transformation that I've been through that I talked a lot about in the last podcast episode, I'm just ready to go full force and be in this new energy, this new identity, and just get shit going. So, quickly, I'll plug what necklace I'm wearing. I am wearing, I literally forgot. I was like, what is this called? I I am wearing Poseidon. This is labradorite and a little pearl cross. Then I have on rose quartz bracelet, malachite bracelet, black tourmaline bracelet, and then this is cuff clasp, which is a necklace, but you can also wear it as a bracelet. I wear it as both. And then obviously, oh, I was like, where's my amethyst? I have amethyst with me, just a crystal that I like to use whenever I am creating. So, and then I also have aquamarine with me. Aquamarine is really good for throat chakra, speaking. So anytime I'm doing something where I'm speaking, I have this baby on me. In my website, arcanumla.com, which I didn't even plug that. So this necklace, all the bracelets I'm wearing, everything that I talk about can be found on arcanumla.com. That's my crystal jewelry brand, which we'll be talking about today because I'm going to be talking about creativity, my version of creativity, how it shows through my life and how I discovered this, right? Because I wasn't always tapped into my creativity. So, how I became more tapped into my creativity and allowing my work to be an expression of my soul and be my sole purpose, like the most aligned work that I feel like I can do that truly lights me up. So, we will be talking about Arcanum LA, but what was I going to say with that? Oh, aquamarine. We have some really good aquamarine mount necklaces on Arcanum LA. So that's like, I forgot, I also have these on. I have on Moldavite and Kundalini citrine right here. But these are melt styles, so they're each unique. It's all, I mean, everything is unique because crystals are unique, but I have really beautiful aquamarine pieces in the melt style right now. Now these are all tangled. Hold on. Anyways, I will link that all for you guys in the description. Okay, so let's get into this. Let me set my coffee down. Something that I really want to cover first is you may be listening to this and be like, okay, but I'm not a creative person. Like, I'm not an artistic person. And I want to explain, I kind of did already, that creativity is a part of all of us. All of us are creators, natural born creators. We are all creating all the time. Every moment is a new creation. So, you sitting right here, right now, watching or listening to this is a manifestation. It's something that you are creating. You are creating this moment. Whatever you're doing alongside this, Maybe you are eating a little healthy snack that you made for yourself, or you're driving somewhere. You are taking action in the world and you are creating things from that. You are creating moments, or you're creating a meal, or you're creating whatever it is that you're doing right now. We're always creating, and creativity is more about the expression of ourselves through what we're creating that makes it unique. So, again, I'll say we are always creating, we are all creators. And then the essence of creativity is the expression of our soul into what we're already doing. This takes us into inspiration and guidance too, and how I see all three of these things together as one. I want to explain that because I think that will give you a new perspective on creativity as well. So, inspiration, I see as guidance. I see those words interchangeably. Inspiration is originated in the Latin word inspirate. I think I'm saying that right, which literally translates to breathe into. So, what inspiration originally, the origins of that word, what it meant was the divine breathing into you. So, when you get that ping, when you get that download, when you get that hit of inspiration, that is essentially guidance, right? It is the divine kind of sending you a message, like breathing the light into you that comes through as a download or a ping or an idea or an intuitive hit. But often we see these as separate things. So, inspiration literally means to breathe life into, right? And then we all know guidance or our intuition is what we receive from the divine or our angels or the universe, whatever you want to call it. And then our creativity is the expression of that. Us creating is the expression of ourselves. So you can think of creativity or creation as the action portion of inspiration or guidance, which is more on the energetic side. It's an idea, it's a concept, it's something that we can't tangibly hold, but that exists still in the energetic field, right? So we get an idea, we get inspired, and then as we express that inspiration through us, that is our creativity expressed. Again, we are creating all the time. So for me, creativity and the expression of your actual creativity and being a creative person who is intentionally creating and inspired creating, you are channeling in that way and you are expressing the deepest parts of yourself. You're expressing your connection with the divine through how you create and what you create and expressing your creativity. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a perspective shift to see how inspiration is spiritual, creativity is spiritual, and how creation and your creativity isn't just about being an artist or being a musician or being someone who has a quote unquote creative job, right? We are all always creating all the time, and the life that we breathe into it is the expression of ourselves, is our creativity. So we're able to be creative people in everything that we do, which we will get into. And in doing so, we express ourselves on a deeper level and we connect with the divine in that way. So if you're listening to all of this and again, you're thinking, well, I'm not a creative person, I don't have creative outlets, I want to speak to kind of why so many of us are out of touch with our creativity and even our inspiration, right? I mean, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, I haven't felt inspired in God knows how long, and I haven't expressed my creativity in so long. I can totally understand that. If I didn't have the job that I have, uh, having my creative outlet, making jewelry, or getting to film my podcast or create my courses, or I feel like I channel every day when I talk to my one on one clients. I'm always getting divinely inspired. I'm always connected to guidance. But before this, I feel like in my adult life, even in my like teen years, I wasn't really expressing my creativity. I wasn't practicing creativity. I wasn't actively creating things, right? So I can definitely understand where someone may feel like this. So I want to speak to kind of how we get there and why. So first off, as we get older, we don't really make time for our creativity. So like I said, I'm going to talk about how you can literally infuse your creativity and inspiration into everything you do. Everything you do can be divinely inspired, even the most mundane tasks. But again, most of us don't have that awareness. And when you do, it's like an awakening. But most of us don't have it. So we are going through the motions of life. We are waking up, doing what we do when we wake up, going to work, coming home, watching Netflix. Like we're just going through the motions. And I think everybody can get swept up in that sometimes. Even, like I said, even with my creative work and the job, the career that I have, I feel like there's been seasons of my life where I wasn't tapped into creativity. There have absolutely been seasons in my life where I haven't been as tapped into creativity. And that's why I'm sharing this now, is this is more of a, it's always been something in my mind, right? But this is more of an embodied lesson that I've learned more recently, so from lived experience, from getting out of touch with my creativity. So I want to, obviously, as I do, share it with you guys here to hopefully save you guys the time and energy of having the same experience. And you can learn it now through me rather than having to learn it through your own trial and error. So a lot of the times we simply aren't nurturing time for creativity. So if you think about like when you're a little kid and you probably would just color or paint, or you would build things and play with things, or you'd go outside and play pretend. So you were actively practicing your creativity and getting inspired and channeling down ideas and inspiration, not even knowing that that was what you were doing. But as children, we do this as a hobby, a pastime, right? And then as we grow up, we get jobs, we get busy, we get packed lives, and we don't really nurture time for what is required to receive inspiration, which is often being in a state of flow, having space, having quiet. And this isn't always the case. We can get inspired from listening to a certain song or watching a podcast or a course or a YouTube video or driving around and seeing something. There's so many places that inspiration can come from. But when we are living such busy, busy lives and we don't kind of allow that space to be more of a clear channel for inspiration, it's hard for us to then become creative or express creativity from that place because we aren't inspired. We don't really have something that we are aware of that we want to express or to create or share in the world or even do for ourselves. Inspiration to me, right, with it meaning to breathe life into, we breathe life into our own selves by tapping into ourself, right? By tapping into our higher self, our soul, and having that connection to our truth breathes life into us. So that alone can inspire us. So inspiration doesn't have to come from something out of you. It can absolutely, and that's where I think a lot of sometimes guidance comes in to lead you to certain things. I know for me, just in this last week, I had the same lesson showed to me through 3 different avenues, and they were all outside of me. So one day I picked up a random book that I had never picked up in my house, flipped to a random page, and read a paragraph as if it was a message directly for me. Then the following day, the next chapter in my book that I didn't know, right? I didn't know it was going to be in the next chapter of my book. I hadn't read it yet, but it reiterated exactly what I had read in that random paragraph the day before. So that's when I was kind of like, okay, universe, you're trying to tell me something. Then the next day, I randomly woke up with a podcaster's name in my head, Ed Milet. And I went and listened to one of his episodes that caught my eye because I was like, okay, maybe there's something for me here. And it also reiterated the same concept. So guidance can be spoken to us through our inspiration too, right? Just feeling randomly inspired to read something, and it can come then outside of us because it's coming from a book. But inspiration can also just come from ourselves, from being connected to our truth, genuinely kind of ask ourselves like, what do I like? Like what interests me? What lights me up? What is like a part of me that I want to express more? And that can be our inspiration to express creativity. But again, when we don't know these things, it's hard to do. It's incompetent incompetence, I think it's called, which basically means that you don't know what you don't know. Okay. So now you know, and I'm here to help you with this more. Back to why we often are disconnected from our creativity. We aren't nurturing time and space for it. We aren't creating an environment for it to thrive, or like I said, just not being aware of how we can express our creativity through us in the mundane in our day-to-day life. As I said, we are creative when we're young. We're just naturally creative. We're playing pretend. We're able to come up with these huge stories in our imagination and play them out with our friends, or we're coloring a picture and it's just scribbles and then we tell somebody that it's like your family. Like we're always creating when we're children, right? And we have these really rich imaginations. But as we get older, creativity gets less and less praised, right? You get into school and you start getting praised for getting the right questions right on a math test, or the facts in science and history. Even in English and writing classes, you are being judged when maybe this teacher just doesn't like your writing style, but that doesn't mean that you can't grow up and become an author. But we're basically getting graded and judged and told to fit into this little box in school that knows the facts and just operates in this one singular way. And I truly believe that school just kind of tries to build like robots. Like it just tries to build employees. School isn't really nurturing to an entrepreneur or somebody who wants a creative career. And again, there is nothing wrong with being an employee or working in a job that is quote unquote less creative, because there are still ways that we can express our soul in this way. And sometimes that is what lights you up, right? Maybe you love what you do and it's not a quote unquote creative job, but you can still express your creativity in that job. And we will get there. But school really doesn't nurture creativity unless maybe you go to like a special school that does, which that's really cool and good for you. But a lot of us get out of touch with our creativity as we grow up. I know for myself, when I was younger, I saw myself as an artist, right? Like before the world could tell you that you're not an artist. When I was a little girl, I would take art classes and I was always painting and drawing and building things and just always doing something artistic. And when I got older and it became more of a competition, right? Like there were people who that was what they did. They did art. They were painters or they were dancers, and that was a thing that these people did. I felt less like I could dabble in all of these things, right? Because I've always been like a dabbler. Like I've always liked to do a lot of different things and just creative in that way. But I felt like, oh, well, I don't want to be like a painter, so let me just like stop doing this because I'm not as good as these people who like that's their shit, that's like their thing. Or I don't want to be a dancer, so let me stop taking dance classes because I'm not the person who wants to, go off and like do that professionally. There becomes like this kind of competitive aspect where it's like, how far are you going to take this? And if you're not going to take it far, I feel like a lot of people kind of withdraw and stop just doing it for fun as you get older. So that happened to me without my knowing. And in my early adulthood, like 18, 19, 20, 21, if you asked me if I was a creative person, I would have said no. I did not see myself as creative. I was disconnected from any outlet of my creativity, and I just stopped seeing myself that way. And it really wasn't until even after I'd say I started my business that I started to then view myself again as an artist. And now I do view myself as an artist. I design jewelry, and then even what I create online on social media or in my courses, like I create all of the art in my courses or the slides. I script everything out for my meditations and my hypnosises. Like that is creation of art. And I never saw myself in that light until recently. I'd say like a year ago. But before that is when I started to at least open my mind to like, okay, maybe I am a creative person. And I think what brought me to that realization is just knowing that what you tell yourself you aren't, you really block from coming into your energetic field or your perception. And I understand manifestation as creation. I understand channeling and receiving guidance for your next steps in manifesting, creating whatever it is that you want to manifest as divine inspiration. So I began to link all of these together and realize that, okay, well, if I want to manifest or create my dream life, I need to become a creative person, and I need to become somebody who's open to creative ideas, divine inspiration, and receiving that kind of guidance so that then I can utilize that guidance, right? So first it comes as inspiration. That's more the concept, the idea, and then being creative, creating it outward is the expression of that divine inspiration, that guidance, that idea. So I had this internal switch like, okay, I need to see myself as a creative person if I want to be successful in manifestation, because manifestation is creation. Hopefully, it's all like looping and making sense for you now. So, another reason why I see a lack of creativity being expressed is that we forget that we have the opportunity to have magic, to have creativity in every single moment, in everything that we do. So I may sound repetitive, but I'm really trying to drive some of these concepts into your mind and into your awareness. So we are creators. We are always creating. In every moment, you are creating something new. And your creativity is an expression of your inspiration, which is your divine essence being breathed into your life. Okay? So you are always creating in every moment. When you wake up and make your coffee, when you drive to work, when you're at work, you are creating in that moment, and you are able to make that moment filled with magic by breathing your unique life into it. And we forget this. So we go through the motions of life, we do the things that got to be done, right? Like in business, for example, with me, although I have more of a creative outlet as my business, it's still a business. Like, I still have the business shit to do. That requires me like actually sitting down at my laptop and being focused and not being as much in like my la la land, like channeling state, right? Like sometimes there's the more logical side of things that we just got to do. And if we are living life forgetting that we can still express ourselves in everything we do and infuse magic into everything we do, we can get very sad and depressed and uninspired and unconnected to what we're doing. It's essentially like we're asleep at the wheel, right? You're just kind of going through the motions of things, but there's no life in it, right? We aren't breathing the life, our soul into it. It's not inspired work, and anything can be inspired. Like I said, whether you're making your coffee, you're going to work, like anything that you do can be inspired. It's the energy that you bring to it. So it's natural that we get swept up in the things that we do in our life, but remembering that we get to choose to have a magic experience even in the most mundane moments is going to make life a lot more enjoyable and fun for you. And I believe it's in that energy, it's in moving through life, moving through your day to day in that energy, that more divine guidance is given to you, right? More inspiration for new ideas that can lead you on a new path that maybe will be more aligned for you than the path that you are on now, that will bring you more joy, more alignment, more fulfillment. So, what is the solution to this problem then, right? If we are somebody who's out of touch with our creativity, or we just would like to nurture more creativity in our life, let me give you a couple things to work with so that you can nurture more of it. I don't believe that creativity and inspiration can be manufactured. So when we're trying to force inspiration, when we're trying to force creativity, that more puts a restraint on it. Creativity and inspiration is something that flows through you. So if you imagine like a tube of water and you're trying to pour it through this tube into a bucket, if you are trying to force it, you're squeezing it and it's harder for it to flow through. But if you remain open and kind of allow it to flow through you, that's where the good shit is. So when we are desiring to be inspired or to be creative, it's important that we remove the energy of force from it. Now, I think people get pretty confused here because it's like, okay, well, I have something that I want to create, or I want to be inspired. Maybe you have a job like mine where for Arcanum LA, I have seasonal drops. So I have to create, right? It's part of my job. Or for my courses, I have to create. It's part of my job. Or even sitting down and recording a podcast or sharing something on social media. Like, I have to create. It is my job. So maybe you have a job like that. So you're hearing me be like, well, it can't be forced and you just gotta let it like flow through you. And you're like, okay, bitch, like, yeah, but I need to create. Like, I need to produce something right now. So I want to explain that there's a difference between trying to manufacture creativity or inspiration and creating space for inspiration and creativity. So when we're trying to manufacture inspiration or creativity, it's like we have this desperate energy, like we are reaching for something to inspire us. We're forcefully trying to make ourselves sit down and create something, and it's the energy that we bring to it. So it's this energy of like, I have to do this and I need to find something that gives me inspiration right now. When we create space for it, it's just a difference of energy. So just as you may mark out time in your calendar, as I do, to be like, okay, this is my time to create and to even look for inspiration, right? Maybe you're going on to Pinterest and just kind of like looking for something to kind of spark inspiration in you. Or maybe you're going to pick up some books and flip to random chapters and just see if anything pops out to you. Or whatever else you may be doing to bring about inspiration from you. Or you're sitting down and you are going to carve out this space to create and give yourself this time to sit down and execute on whatever it is that you need to create. The energy that you bring to the table, right? So in manufacturing it, you are bringing this energy of like, oh, I gotta find something. Like it's this tense energy of force. Whereas when we just create space from it, we go into it in an open energy. It's like I can feel it inside of my body, and hopefully you can too as I speak this. I can feel when I'm coming to something just kind of openly, like an open channel, just letting it flow through me, than when I am coming to something really trying to like force it. I can literally feel my body like change when I explain it. So when we come as that open channel, and yeah, we may have a deliverable, right? We may have something that we need to finish by the end of that day or the end of that week. So we are on a time crunch. It's letting that kind of time frame leave your mind, because creativity does not flow through being rushed. Letting that leave your mind, you can know it's there, but you can let it leave your mind and you just get into a channeled state, essentially. I want to say a meditative state, but it's not meditative, right? You can be doing something when you're doing this. You don't have to be like sitting in meditation, but you open your energy field, and yeah, you may still be scrolling through Pinterest trying to find inspiration. But as you're looking, you aren't looking with like the same kind of fight or flight, like beady eyes, like trying to find something so bad. You're more just kind of like open to the influences and what might just randomly intuitively draw your eye. And when we do this is when we are connected to the divine. We aren't forcing, right? When we force, we cut off our connection to our intuition, to our divine. When we flow, we are able to receive that guidance. We're able to hear it. It's not that we aren't receiving it otherwise, it's that we aren't hearing it. We aren't aware of it because we're so caught up in our brains that we aren't aware of the subtle influences or those things in our mind that might say, hey, I know that you're scrolling on Pinterest for inspiration right now, but go to that coffee shop. And if you are so in your head, if you're trying to manufacture your inspiration and force it, you may be like, no, I can't fucking go to the coffee shop. Like, I need to find inspiration right now. But if you're more in this flow state and willing to be guided, willing to be inspired, have life breathed into you by the divine, you're going to be like, I feel this random pull to go to that coffee shop. Let me just go there right now. And maybe you'll feel inspired to listen to a song. Maybe a song will come on the radio. Maybe you'll overhear a conversation. Maybe you'll just be zoning out while you're driving and the idea will come to you. But this is how we not so much manufacture our inspiration, our creativity, but open ourselves to allow ourselves to receive it, to be open to it. It's a difference of being present in the process or trying to force it. That's all that there is in the difference of trying to manufacture it versus allowing it to flow through you. You may still do the same things physically, right? You may tell yourself, okay, during this time, we are going to sit down and brainstorm and mock things up, create some things, get ideas, script this out, whatever it may be. But it's the energy that you bring to the table. Are you open or are you closed? And I'll tell you, you may still create something, right? You may still have an end product to share from something that is manufactured, that's forced, but it's not going to be nearly as good as what comes from you when you are divinely inspired. There are ways to help create or nurture more inspired flow states. So these states where you're tapped into your inspiration and creativity. So I'll share a couple with you guys, but really this is so individual as well. Finding your thing is going to come from trial and error, really trying different things out and seeing what really kind of allows you to tap into that aspect of yourself, your intuition, and that energy. Again, it comes back to that energy of just being open to being guided. So everybody's thing and process of inspiration can look different. So just keep an open mind, but I'll give you some of mine and some just like all around basics. So for one, tapping into the subconscious is a really powerful way to allow, again, that divine essence, which is your creativity, your true self, to flow through you, or your inspiration or connection to your guidance. I've always channeled personally through free writing. That's the first way that I ever really had that deep spiritual connection where I was like, holy shit, I feel like I'm speaking to someone right now that's not me. And that was through free writing in my journal. So free writing, if you aren't familiar, just to quickly explain it, is when you basically get into a flow state while you are journaling. So we do this by just writing, just kind of writing whatever is at top of mind. And eventually, through this process, as you continue to do it, it's almost like when you're driving and you all of a sudden are at your destination and you're like, oh my God, I zoned out that whole time. It's kind of like that, right? We kind of get into this zone, into a bit of a hypnotic state, is what it is. And you're fully functioning, you're still doing the things, right? Like you still safely got to your location when you were driving. You're still writing, but you aren't thinking about it. And that's when it's coming from the subconscious, or otherwise can be thought of as divine inspiration and channeled writing. So this is a great way to nurture your creativity, nurture your inspiration, also just get in touch with yourself, with your essence, which again, as I've said many times now, is going to be a way that you will express your creativity and express your light, breathe your life into your life, into everything that you do. Getting to know yourself more, who you are, what you're like, your personality, the things that light you up, your interests, how you want to and deeply desire to show up in this world, because whatever that is your true soul. That may just still be waiting to be expressed by you or calling you to express it more. Something that I've started doing lately, which I actually started in 2020, which is the year that all of this like took off for me. It's the year that I started my brand. Or got the idea for my jewelry brand. It's the year I got the idea that I wanted to be a manifestation and mindset coach before I even knew that that was a job. It was really when I was very heavily on the path of connectivity to source and divine guidance and manifestation, and that genuinely it was that year that led me here. And it's funny because so many parallels are happening in my life. I feel like I'm kind of like living the next level of that year now in this present day. But anyways, I first started this back in 2020. I just picked it up again. And by the way, my AC just turned on. So sorry if you can hear that, but it's hot in here. So I'm going to leave it on. But that thing is the morning pages. So that's the Artist's Way book is what the book is called. I've seen a lot of people talking about it like on TikTok, so I know that it's kind of known of now. But basically what this is you wake up and you write 3 pages every single morning. That's why it's called the morning pages. And you create a habit of this. You do it every single day and you just write stream of consciousness. You write whatever is on your mind. So it's not really, again, manufacturing creativity or inspiration. You aren't sitting down being like, what should I journal about right now? What should I write about? You just write stream of consciousness. So you may be like, oh my God, I'm so fucking tired right now. This is what I have to do today. And your first few times doing this process, that may be exactly what it's like. But the more you do it, the more you'll become kind of familiar with the process and you'll catch yourself going unconscious. Maybe by the second page or even all the way at the end of the third page, you'll get into this flow state. And again, this is when our subconscious can speak to us. This is when we can channel divine guidance. And through here, we can shine light on inspiration that we may have had, but had it subconsciously, things that are interesting us right now, what's lighting us up. We may channel through guidance that suddenly is like, I don't know why, but I feel like I really want to do this today. And then we can hear ourselves say that and then go act on it. So it's nurturing a space for you to connect in that way. Another way to nurture inspiration is by simply taking action. So again, I know this sounds a little counterintuitive to what I just said, where you can't manufacture inspiration. But what I mean by this is that often action brings the inspiration. So sometimes taking those first steps is the scariest thing. Like if you're starting a podcast or you're starting a TikTok account or an Instagram or whatever, taking those first steps, and you may be like, I don't know what I want to talk about. I don't know what I want to do. Set everything up, make the accounts, do everything, and just take the action. Even fucking set your camera up and start recording and just allow it to come through you. Or if you have a project that you're working on, and like I gave the example of earlier, where maybe you sit down and you're like, okay, here's my time to work on this, just actually carving out that time and sitting down to work on it will bring forth inspiration. It might take you a second to get into that flow state, but just beginning to kind of take some action, right? Let's say you needed to sketch something up. I don't know, I'm just throwing out obvious examples here. You needed to sketch up a design and just start getting your pen moving, like just kind of, even if you don't know what the fuck you're doing yet, and this isn't forcing it, this is just kind of getting the energy flowing, getting it moving, and still remaining open, still having your energy be open and not bringing this kind of like forceful, dreadful, I have to do this energy to the table. Just being like, I'm going to show up, right? It's about you're showing up for it. I'm going to show up. I'm going to move. I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to see what flows through me. I'm going to be in present awareness and tuned into my inspiration and see what comes through me. And also being okay with that $1 million idea or that project that you are wanting to finish. It might not get done today, right? It might not come to you today. That thing, the click, the inspiration, it might not come today. And be okay with that. And when you're okay with that, you'll find more often than not, it comes to you on that day, right? It's that forceful energy of, it has to happen for me today. I have to get it down today. That can block it for you. So just kind of being open and being like, I know it's flowing. I know it's coming. And I'm just open to being inspired through everything that I do. That openness is what allows you to receive the inspiration while you're just taking the action. And often taking the action, like I said, can be that first step that maybe you're missing. Maybe you just got to get your feet wet. You just got to go out and start doing it. And by actually moving through it, by actually doing it, the inspiration will come to you. And like I said, find your things. So one of my things is driving. So for example, today, actually, I woke up. I knew I wanted to record a podcast, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to talk about. This is my first podcast back since I went on vacation. My last podcast, I covered a lot, and I wasn't sure like what it was that I wanted to talk about, but I've been very, very tapped into my intuition lately, really cultivating a space for me to move in this inspired flow. And I just decided that's how I'd come to this episode today. So I went on a little drive. I went and got coffee from a coffee shop I had been wanting to go to, kind of took myself on a little date, and just let myself drive and think and talk to myself. And in this space where obviously I had a to-do, I had a time that I needed to sit down and record this. So there was a cap, right? It's not that I was just like, let me just flow all day. There was a cap. I have a deliverable here. I need to record the podcast today. I need to do it in this time frame. There was structure there. But by giving myself this space to do the thing that is my thing, that allows me to kind of tune into my inspiration and just kind of cultivate something about driving, something about doing something with my hands rather than like sitting down at my laptop and being like, okay, what do we want to talk about today? Like driving around, just I didn't have music playing. I had music playing for a little bit, but at times I didn't have music playing, and I just rolled down my windows and just like vibed with the intention of being like, what am I going to record my podcast about today? Right? So I go into it with an intention. If I was doing this for, let's say, creating a module in my course, which those I usually have outlined, but let's say making a necklace. Maybe I wanted to make a new design. I might feel intuitively inspired to go to a certain area in LA or go sit at the beach or go to the park or go to a coffee shop. And I'm going to have in my mind the intention of, I want to create this necklace today, right? I want to record this podcast today. But I'm just kind of still flowing. Like today, I was just driving my car. I knew I wanted to think of what I was going to share on the podcast, but there's just this energy of forcing it or being open and just kind of driving around, maybe playing some music or not, however you think better, and just having an open mind with the intention of having a concept, but looking around and letting it flow through you. And then you can try things on more easily, right? One idea may come on into your mind and you may be like, ooh, okay, like let's sit with that. But you don't attach to it and you aren't like, okay, then this is what I need to do. Like, I just need to get this out of the way. I need to get it done with. Some thoughts may just be passing thoughts and they're not the idea we're meant to run with. So just being open and letting your ideas evolve and grow. That one idea may then lead you to another thought, to another thought, to another thought, which then leads you to your key idea, that thing that is meant to be expressed to you. But all of those things needed to connect to bring you to that space. But if you are forcing it, right, that first idea you may just run with, and it's not the full evolution of what you're meant to be led to express. That would be your inspired creation. So yeah, as I was saying, my thing is driving. Definitely whenever I'm feeling blocked or I just need to, there is something that I want to create or I have something that I need to create, right, for my work, I will drive. That's why you see me in my car all the time when I'm on TikTok, because I'm literally always in my car whenever I'm trying to get inspiration. It's just what I do. But just know that there is a trial and error to this. So finding your perfect formula of what's going to nurture your creative space or nurture your space to be inspired. You may try different things out, and some you may like, some may really help you tap into that space. Others maybe not. You may see that when you have any type of constraint, you have trouble tapping into that space. So you really have to get your mind off of the ideas of time or due dates or anything like that. Although they may exist, it may be very important for you to detach from that. I know that's me. I definitely have to remove my mind from that and just create this space where I feel like I have all the time in the world, even if I may not. But you'll learn what your kind of creative blocks are, what make you feel constricted, and what make you feel open and flowy. Maybe meditating beforehand helps you get into that more open and flowy state. Maybe there's certain crystals that you like to work with when you create. Maybe there's certain rituals and routines and things that you like to do. Maybe there's certain places that you like to go, or certain places that you don't like to go, right? I know that there's like places in my house that I feel more creative in than others, or places that I can focus more than others. So try it on, try out different things, and just know that not one size fits all. So you may have a different combination of things than I do, and that's absolutely perfect. But it's great to get to know yourself in that way and find what your thing is, what nurtures your creativity and your inspiration. So now that you understand these concepts more, you understand that you are a creator. You are always creating. Every moment, you are creating a new moment. Everything that you do, no one has done before. And that's not saying, nobody has done that thing that you're doing before, right? If you're making a meal, it's not that nobody's made a meal before, but you've never been in this moment as you right now making that meal, because this moment has never existed before. So you are creating in each new moment. Each new moment is a moment of creativity. The creativity aspect And the inspiration aspect of that comes from, are you breathing your unique life into what you're doing or not, right? Are you moving through life and the day to day and the mundane things like doing the dishes or folding your laundry or even maybe your job, whatever you may be doing, are you doing it unconsciously? Are you kind of checked out and just kind of on autopilot moving through your life and not bringing a sense of presence and breathing your energy, your life into the things you're doing? Because we can go turned off, unplugged at any time and all the time. And a lot of people live this way. And I believe that's where a lot of the unfulfillment that we see in our world comes from. It's because we aren't living life with inspiration in it. We aren't breathing our soul into the things that we are doing. And it's not that you have to do these big grand things every day to be a creative person or breathe your soul into the world, right? That's what I'm really trying to get across here, is that it's in the mundane, it's in the day to day, it's infusing our magic into everything we do. So you can ask yourself, just with anything and everything that you do, how can I take this thing that may be mundane or boring even and breathe more of my life into it, make it more of an expression of me? And we can do this in so many ways, through maybe the clothes that we wear or the music that we choose to listen to, or just the energy that we carry as we do the things. That's a huge one. It's the energy that you do the things in. What is your unique signature? What is your unique energy, right? Maybe you're a really bubbly person, or you really want everybody to feel warm when they're in your energy. You can breathe that into everything you do, whether you're grabbing a coffee from a barista or you're at the grocery store checking out. Any interaction that you have, you can breathe your essence into it. Or in whatever you're doing in work. Like, I understand that for a lot of people, work is work. And that makes me really, really sad, because I want people to feel fulfilled. I want people to feel lit up by the work that they do, and like it's an expression of their soul. This is what I teach in my manifestation and success course, Scale, because I'm just so passionate about helping people to find that thing and express themselves in this way and live a life that you're able to be massively successful and you're also feeling fulfilled and soul aligned. I'll link the page for Scale down below if you guys are interested in it. But in whatever work you do, right, even if right now maybe you're working a job so that eventually you can save up money and then start your own business or start your soul fulfilling thing. Or maybe you love the job that you work at and it's quote unquote not a typically thought of as creative job, but you love what you do and you want to keep doing it. You can still fuel what you do with your soul, with your own unique and creative essence, and breathe your life into everything that you do. So for example, I'll just say, like, I used to work retail. So let's talk about, like, if you work retail, right? Whether you love it or you're doing it right now to pay your bills, this is a job that maybe people wouldn't think is creative, right? You're working at a store and you're selling clothes, and people might not think of this as a creative job. But everything is creative. Every moment is an expression of creation. You are creating every moment with what you bring to the table, whether you're tapped in, tuned out, unplugged, and just moving unconsciously through the motions, or you are breathing your soul, your life into everything you're doing. You're creating in every moment. So it's your choice how you want to create in it. So if you are working a retail job and you are wanting to practice this, infuse more magic into your life, more creativity, more of your soul's essence into everything you do, every moment of interaction is an opportunity for you to express your light, express yourself, rather than just being like a little robot, like, hi, how are you? Let me know if you need anything. You know, it's like being yourself, letting your light shine through in everything that you do, every interaction that you have. So you would think this is not a creative job, right? There's no creativity here, but how you do the things is your creativity. How you speak to people, how you dress when you come in, how you carry yourself. Everything that you do is your creativity. So just letting your light shine through you. And again, this goes for everything you do. The things that you would just not even think you can breathe light into, you can. It's just being more of yourself and letting that light shine through, which I share about this a lot. I always talk about this, how your authentic self is your brightest light. This is your most magnetic self, and the right people, places, and things will be attracted to it, will find you when you are vibrating in that energy as your authentic self. So a lot of soul discovery work comes into play here because it's really figuring out, who am I? What is the expression of my soul, right? Because your creativity is going to come from the purest expression of your soul. So there may be some work to uncover, what is that? Who is that? I go through this a lot in my manifestation course, Align and Track, or my success course, Scale, finding your authentic alignment, really discovering who you are and undoing who you've been told you are, undoing what the world has told you about yourself, and connecting to your truth. And let me just say, this is a journey, right? This is not a destination. This is a journey. So you will always be meeting yourself at new levels, because this is where all of our magic stems from. Once you start to understand this concept and truly understand this concept, where it goes beyond just a knowing and it becomes really an embodied wisdom, because like I said, this is more of a newer revelation for me of how I can breathe my essence, my creativity into everything, and how I best am creative and inspired. But once you have this breakthrough, it changes everything. Ignore my cat. He's just joining us now. But it changes everything. It just brings such a force of magic into your life, because you are choosing to experience magic in everything you do. Your magic comes through your authenticity, your uniqueness, your soul being expressed, your inspiration. So experiencing a more magic reality really starts with us first choosing to be more of a magic presence in our reality in the first place. It's one of those things where once you see it, you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Like, once you start to live life in this way, nurturing your creativity, being an open channel for inspiration, allowing your creativity and inspiration to be expressed in everything you do, you will see life through a whole new lens, where that inspiration is all around you. Opportunities to express your creativity are all around you. You'll just have like the veil lifted. It's almost like you reach that new level of the video game that is this human experience. And if you have experienced this, please let me know, because I'd love to hear about your experience with this breakthrough as well, because it was such a paradigm shift for me and my entire life. After having this sort of awakening and deep connection and resonance with this concept, you are still going to do the same things, right? It's not that all of a sudden you aren't going to be doing the dishes or going to work or doing the mundane things that you do all the time. Like, you will still do these things, but you will bring a new energy to them. You will breathe your life into them. You aren't unconscious moving through the motions and the mundane. You're aware and you're living it, and you're infusing it with the magic that is the expression of your truest self, your soul. So I want to leave you on a couple tips, speaking from my experience of how I reinvited creativity into my life after becoming disconnected from it, and some tips for you as you may be going into this yourself. So how it all played out for me, how I refound my way to living a creative life, and specifically having a career that was such an expression of my soul, but also just living a creative life in general, an inspired life, and how I would guide you to do the same. So I first began to become aware of the things that interested me, anything and everything that sparked interest in me. So as you move through life, as you move through your day to day, begin to notice what kind of interests you, what just sparks your interest, sparks your curiosity. What do you want to learn more about, or what excites you when you hear about it, or see a podcast episode on it, or a YouTube video on it, or just catches your eye and catches your energy in any way. Just begin to bring awareness to the things that interest you. And from there, begin spending time doing more of those things, or researching those things, learning more about them. So for me, what that was back before Arcanum LA, Arcanum Academy, anything Arcanum was even a thing, I was always really interested with spirituality. And then as I began to learn about the mindset, I became really interested in that. And I just kept following the breadcrumbs. From there, I learned more about the subconscious mind. From the subconscious mind, I learned more about manifestation. And I just kept following the breadcrumbs of the things that interest me, that sparked interest in me, that I was excited to learn about. Like, I remember I couldn't wait till the morning to drive to go get my coffee so that I could listen to a podcast on whatever topic I was interested in, which was usually anything spiritual, anything manifestation, or anything about the subconscious mind. As I started to study or explore more of the things that interested me, I really paid attention to what lit me up from those things. So, what really got me excited, like I just said, I couldn't wait to learn more about it. And it really lit me up and excited me to explore it more, to have time to study it more, to research it more. I just started to pay attention to those sparks, to that excitement, and following it more and more and more. And each thing led to a new layer, which ultimately led me to everything that I do now. If I didn't follow my interests, then from there, researching them more, studying them more, carving out more time for them in my life, then beginning to notice what in these interests really ignites a spark in me, I would not be here right now. So for you, the advice I give you is really to begin to become curious about what interests you. Create and nurture time to explore those things. Pay attention to what lights you up, what excites you as you are learning about these things, and follow from thing to thing, right? Because it might not be that first thing. Maybe it leads you into something else. For me, my first course that I took was on holistic health. So I took a holistic health course because I just felt called to it. And then from there, inside of that course, I learned about mindset, which is what led me then to learning more about the subconscious mind and manifestation, which I found to be my thing, the thing that I nerd out about, that I'm obsessed with, that I can't get enough of still to this day. I retake my courses, I reread my books. I am just a nerd for this shit. I love this shit. And I want you to find your thing that you're like that with too. And also, these things can grow, evolve, and change as we grow, evolve, and change too. I found so many new interests throughout this journey as well. And with my jewelry brand, I had that interest in fashion, in crystals, and I was able to infuse both of those into a creative outlet and ultimately a business for myself. So I urge you to not be afraid to try new things, and fuck what anybody says is cool or isn't cool. Follow your spark, your thing. I can tell you, when I started getting into this stuff, it wasn't the thing yet. Like, I feel like now so many more people are open to spirituality, are open to witchy shit, crystals, all of that. But when I started deeply exploring spirituality, it wasn't widely talked about. It was right before that wave. But it interested me and it was exciting for me and it lit a spark within me. So I followed it and I didn't give a fuck if people thought I was weird for it. It was what I liked to do. So I really call you to do the same. Get it out of your mind what anybody's gonna think if you start to become a spirituality nerd or a crystal nerd or a manifestation nerd or, I don't know, biking or nature or oceans. I don't know, whatever the thing is that interests you, whatever it is. Get out of your mind whether that's quote unquote cool or not, what people are going to think about it. Explore it for you. Your creativity, your inspiration should be done for you. And if other people get to benefit from it, if other people get to enjoy it, that's great. That can be a bonus, but do it for you. Do it because your soul is dying to be expressed through you and has this urge and this desire towards something. It's calling you to do something, and do it to let that part of you out, to let your soul be expressed in this world. And you never know who you will impact, who you will affect. Maybe you start doing art and maybe in the beginning people aren't buying it, but people are seeing it. They're relating to it and they're feeling an emotional connection to it. And it's healing them in some crazy wild way, because that's how the universe works, where we're all leading each other home. We're all guiding each other, whether we know it or not. Maybe you start sharing content on TikTok or you start a podcast or an Instagram and you aren't getting the results, the numerical results, right? Everybody talks about followers or likes or views. First of all, fuck that. But maybe you aren't getting the results that you want from it right now, but you don't know who's seeing it and who you're affecting. I know when I first started my TikTok, or even when I first started my podcast, when my numbers weren't something that I was like, yeah, this is going viral, this must be really impactful, right? That has nothing to do with the amount of impact that it can have on a singular person. And I started getting messages about how my podcast was changing people's lives, or people would DM me off Instagram from my TikTok and tell me that a certain TikTok really just changed everything for them. And I think back to when I started all of this, and I didn't know that, right? I didn't know that what I was doing was having such an impact, but I thought maybe it might, maybe it could, right? Maybe if I shared something in a way that I wish somebody could have shared it with me when I was first starting this journey, maybe that can help someone. And if it helps one person, that's worth it for me. That's always been my energy through all of this. If it helps one person, if it changes one person's life or guides them in some way, it's worth all the time and energy that I put into what I share with you guys. And in the beginning, I didn't know for a fact. I wasn't getting those messages or those comments in the beginning. People telling me that my work was influencing and changing their lives. But I hoped that it would. And I did it for myself. I did it because I had something that I wanted to share. My soul wanted to express this. My soul was like dying to talk about this stuff. And so I curated a space for me to do so. And from that, so many blessings have flowed into my life. So I encourage you to do the same. Create a space, and it doesn't have to be online. Maybe it's just in your room. Maybe it's just for you. Maybe you just sing for your friends and family. Maybe you just sing for yourself. And maybe you eventually want to take it into the rest of the world. Whatever it is and whatever you choose to do with it, just create a space to allow yourself to be expressed. Create a space to allow yourself to explore and discover what is in alignment to your soul deeper. Create a space for yourself to be inspired. And know too that you can express your creativity, you can express your soul's essence through anything you do. Whether I'm showing up for this podcast for you guys, whether I'm creating one of my courses, whether I'm on social media, or whether I'm just out in the world living my life, I get to express my soul through everything that I do because I choose to. Even if I'm just alone in my house making my coffee like I was this morning, and I woke up in a bad mood this morning because I had a bad dream. That's a whole other story. But I woke up in a bad mood and I just decided to choose to have a magic day and to make my soul feel good. So I put on an old playlist that I knew would make me feel good, and immediately my mood shifted because I just infused my light, I breathed my light into just the mundane that I was doing and allowed it to be more of an expression of myself, of my soul. So I have some homework for you so that you can really take this message and apply it to your life. Number one, go out and create some space for inspiration. So whether you are going to drive around aimlessly like I do, maybe you're going to carve out time in the morning to journal. Maybe you're going to go sit at the park, or whatever it is that you choose to do. I invite you to carve out some space for some inspiration. Through this space, you may be inspired to explore a new interest. You may have an idea come through for you for a project that you were working on and you finally get that aha moment. Or maybe you just get some really good quality time with yourself. Even in that, there are more hidden gifts under the surface that you can't see yet, but that will show themselves to you eventually. Whatever it is that you get from this moment, just be fully present in it and enjoy it. And make it a habit, right? Don't just do it once. Make it something that you do, that you really begin to nurture in your life, having space to be inspired, to hear your guidance. Because when we are always moving through life, forcing our way through life, we aren't tapped into the present and an open channel to hear that divine inspiration come through and take action on it. As you're moving through your life, your day, the day-to-day, whatever it is that you're doing, tune into those little pings when you feel excited by something. You may see a commercial for something and be like, ooh, I really like that color. Or you may run to your podcast app because you are looking for a very specific topic to learn about. Or you may hear somebody talk about something and be like, oh, I want to explore that more. Whatever it is, just begin to kind of bring awareness and energy to those things that are lighting you up, that are bringing you excitement, and go explore them more. If there's a topic that you're interested in, let's say manifestation or the subconscious mind, like I was, research it, learn more about it, maybe invest in a course. I have my two that I'll link down below for you if you're interested. Listen to podcasts on it, read books about it. Maybe you're really interested in furniture. I don't know. Start to follow furniture or interior design accounts, read a book on it. Just allow your creativity to be fed. Allow that light that gets lit up by you to be fed, because as you continue to feed that little light that's like, ooh, I like this, I'm excited by this, you are feeding your soul. You're moving in alignment with what your soul wants you to explore, and that will lead you to the most beautiful, amazing things and most soul aligned life. And lastly, breathe your life into everything. The magic is there for you to live and experience in every moment. It is just waiting for you to become aware of it, waiting for you to know it's there, and waiting for you to breathe your life into it, so that every single moment, every mundane thing, no matter what it is you're doing, gets to be a full expression of you, a moment of creation that is a full expression of you. This is how we experience magic in the mundane, in our day-to-day, by infusing it with our essence. Our essence, our soul alignment, our energy is the magic. This is what makes life worth living. My feet are starting to fall asleep from sitting this way for so long. So whatever it is you're doing, ask, how can I make this more of me? How can I be more of me while doing this? How can I breathe more of my life and my energy and my unique self-expression into this moment of creation, and let it be an experience of creativity for myself. And you'll know you're being an expression of you. You'll know that you're living in that alignment when it brings you joy. And it's a different feeling than just happiness. I'm talking about the kind of joy that just kind of gives you, like, I used to call them the happies. Like just the tingles of energy where you're like, yeah, this feels right. This feels good. That's when you know that you are being you. You are expressing yourself as you. And you're following and living by your soul alignment. So that is your homework, and that is what I have for you today. I hope that this podcast episode was very useful for you. If it was, please let me know and leave a little review or a comment or whatever it is that you do on whatever platform you're watching this on or listening to this on, and DM me or put it on your story and share your biggest takeaway. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Just, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm about to go catch dinner with one of my little spiritual friends, and I know we're about to have such an expansive conversation. I'm so excited. I hope that you are feeling really good today. I hope that this conversation infused some more light and inspiration into your life today. I know speaking it did for me. Like I said, I will link everything down below for you guys as always. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. And I'm sending you so much love and so much good fucking energy. Bye.